Okay, so for this video, what I wanted to do is I went back and rewatched sort of the video, the second video in the series, the number two of I guess now four videos, and you know I had to sort of set an exchange rate, and that was sort of a really in-depth example. But what I wanted to do was just a quicker, more high-level example of why countries and even firms and trade and specialize. And this is sort of the argument for specialization. Okay, so I just want to quickly make sure that you can see this, right? So let's just back up and review what we're looking at here. Again, we have Bob and Sue, but this time we've reduced ceteris paribus. We've reduced all of the production to just guitars and wine. And if you're not 21, then make this non-alcoholic wine in your notes. Okay, make it Kool-Aid or something like that. Okay, so again, let's talk about absolute advantage, right? What's absolute advantage? It's who can produce the most. So who has the absolute advantage in the production of guitars? Well, it would be Bob, right? Because Bob, and here's the matrix, just like we always have. Right, so absolute advantage, comparative advantage. We have guitars and wine. Who has the absolute advantage in production of guitars? 30 is bigger than 20, so it's going to be Bob. And then who has the absolute advantage in the production of wine? It's going to be Sue. Okay, so in terms of comparative advantage, so 3 guitars equals 2 wines, 1 guitar equals 2/3 of wine, 1 wine equals 2 guitars. And then for Sue, 2 guitars, 4 wine, 1 guitar equals 2 wines, 1 wine equals half a guitar, and there you go. Okay, so in terms of guitars, Bob, and then in terms of wine, it's going to be Sue. Okay, but watch this. Let's say initially, without trading, Bob's operating at point A and Sue's operating at point B. Okay? Before trade, while they're operating on these points and they're both producing guitars and wine, what is the total production? So if we make guitars here and wine here, so before trade, what's it going to be? Well, before trade, Bob's going to produce 15 guitars, and Sue's going to produce 10 guitars for a total output combined of 25 units. Okay? In terms of wine, Bob is going to produce 10 units of wine, Sue's going to produce 20 units of wine for a combined output of 30 units. And then if we combine all of the output, 25 and 35 is 55. And that's what's being produced in this little micro example, right? But see, this is why nations and even firms specialize in trade, because I'll say after specialization, what's happening? Well, since Bob has the comparative advantage in guitars, he's only going to produce guitars, right? And if he takes all of his resources and produces only guitars, he's going to produce 30 units of guitars. And Sue, right, she has comparative advantage in wine. She's going to produce 40 units of wine. And this is why nations trade, because look, 30 is bigger than 25, so there's a gain there. 40 is bigger than 30, there's a gain there. And the combined output is now 70, which is a lot bigger than 55. And that is an even more simplified example of why specializations occur. I mean, sort of at the national level, we talk about it in terms of trade and why nations specialize in trade, imports and exports. But even at the at the firm level, right? There's certain firms that will specialize. Like General Motors doesn't build all the components that go into a car. They deal with other firms that specialize, and this gives you sort of an example why. So hopefully that was helpful.